What's up, guys? So I finished this Razor ProSpec up um, about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, and I think I want to post this because there's not much material out there on upgrading a Razor ProSpec. I think there's maybe two videos, and both videos are using the Electro and Co. the one motors, and what I have here is a KR5V. So I guess we can start the motor first. So this is the KR5V. This bracket here I made. Well, I designed it and I had sent the file in to send cut send, and they ended up making this. And the reason why I needed to make this because the one motor I was initially thinking about putting it onto here, but it requires their bracket, and they don't sell their bracket individually. They don't sell it separately. You have to buy the kit, the ProSpec kit. And the issue with the one motor is that you see that gap there, right there. The one motor, when you try to install it, this bar, this cross member here, it gets in the way, and it only allows the motor to be able to rotate or sit itself in a certain position. Um, that's why that bracket that you see on their channel and maybe some of the other people's channels are kind of weird looking. It looks kind of like this, but at a steeper angle. Anyway, so I have this bracket designed and made already. Obviously, you can see it works. So if you guys have a ProSpec, you guys want to upgrade it to a KR5V motor, um, just give me a send me a message on either Facebook or through the comments. So the front of the motor looks like this. I have one hole in. I don't have the other one in here because there's really no need for it. This brace is plenty strong enough already in combination with that rear bracket. And then moving on back, here's the split sprocket adapter that I have. This is a 30. I'm sorry, this is a 70. No, I'm sorry, 64. I think 64 tooth rear sprocket and a 9-tooth front. And then the split sprocket hub is also one of the parts I designed. Um, give me a shout if you want one of these as well too. I think the total cost comes to like $12 for two if you buy two or three at a time. Moving on back to the controller. So what I have here is a Volto EM100 GTR. And then you see these little spacers here that I have. I had to also design these, and I 3D printed these as well too, because the four holes that they have here is for sorry, the four holes that they have here, one, two, and then two more right above here. The four holes that they have there is too small or too close to each other. So I ended up having to design a spacer that brought the holes out a little further for a big controller. And I have this little mud guard here so that I can keep the controller free of cow poop. And then I have a tail light. I ride this thing at night most of the time. It's actually charging right now on a variable DC charger. Yeah, so I ride this thing at night, and also have a headlight here and a tail light. I have it connected to. I have the step down main power supply to the step down connected to the key, so that it only turns on when the key is on. And I'll turn it off here. And the reason why this works is because there's the latch mechanism inside of the key structure here is robust enough to be able to work with higher voltage. If you were to just try to install for example, if you were to just try to install a switch like this, in between the main power supply, which is the battery, to the step down, you'll get issues with this. it'll get arcing. You'll hear it too when you turn it on. There's just like zap that you hear. And when there's arcing, that means that there's damage to the contactors. And when there's damage to the contactors, sooner or later it'll die out pretty quickly. So the key switch here, at least this key switch, is robust enough to be able to handle that. This charging port doesn't work anymore. It's not plugged in. I have it charging to an XT60 over here. You can see some of the wiring. This USB charger, I grabbed this off of I have a Baromax TT 1600 RR or R, and I took that off and I put it onto here. I haven't even tried to use it yet, and I never need it really, but I just threw it in here, just for the hell of it. The battery that I have in here, sorry you can't see the battery, but these are, I think, 2 gauge maybe. I forget what it is. It runs off of a QS8 connector to the battery, but the battery is a 72 volt, 40 amp hour, 120 amp discharge. It's made out of 21700 Tesla cells, and it gives me about 45-50 miles of range. But if I get on it, it drains very quickly. It drains in a matter of like hour or two of riding, if I'm always smashing on the throttle. I have some CNC AliExpress mountain bike brakes here. They are great for mountain bikes, but they are terrible for a high power build like this. This build is over 9 kilowatt continuous. That's 72 times 130 amps. That yeah, 130 amps. Yeah, I have it set to 130 amps. 72 times 130. That's equivalent to, that equates to 9,360, I believe, watts of continuous power. And then I have the peak current output set at, I think, 200, maybe. Yeah, so it's like 9 kilowatt, like 14 or 15 kilowatt peak. For a little bike like this, it's way more power than anybody needs. I'm usually just on speed 2. The only time I'm really on speed 3 is if I'm trying to push top speed, or I just wanted to fly up a 15%, 20% grade hill at 30, 40 miles an hour. I think the next modification I'm going to make on this are the wheels. And the reason why is because I don't like the disc rotor on here. The disc rotor on here is thin. It's too thin. These are just like little, like a millimeter, 1.8 millimeters thick. I'm going to swap the 12-14 setup out here with pit bike wheels. The pit bike wheels, they have a bolt pan to support much thicker discs. Um, I can put on, I think I'll probably put on 180, 180 at the front, and maybe 200 at the rear. And the reason why I have it on the rear is because I use the rear brakes more than I use the front brakes. The reason why I do that is because most of the time when I'm using brakes, I'm going downhill. And when I'm going downhill, if I were to use the front brakes, it shifts my weight forward, and it gives me a very uneasy feeling. Plus, if the front wheel locks up and it begins sliding, I have very little control over the steering. I'd much rather the rear wheel slide, and at least that way the front wheel is still be able to steer. So I usually build my bikes with a larger rear disc. Um, what else do I have here? I think the next upgrade I'm going to do after the wheels will be the front forks. The front forks are very basic. They're, I think, 3942 forks. Same type of forks that are on the Balmoto B1, Barrel Max, and maybe the 48-volt Mototech. They're kind of thin. They're not adjustable. A bit soft. So I'll probably upgrade that, and maybe the handlebar as well too. Give me something with a little rise on it. Right now the handlebars are okay. I kind of like the way it looks though. It looks low profile, but it's a little too low. It's just my weight forward when I'm going downhill is too much. Um, what else would I change on here? I think that's it. After I get the brake set up, oh yes, the brakes. So the brakes I have, I'll be putting these guys on. These are, pit bike brakes. I'm sure everybody's seen these before. The ones I have don't have this bracket. I ordered them without the bracket because um, it goes on cleaner. I don't like having multiple brackets. Um, so I'm going to also design a different bracket in place of this one. Install this guy in the back here and the front as well. So this way I get some real stopping power. Right now these mountain bike brakes are not doing it. They squeak a lot. And it doesn't give me confidence. It doesn't give me enough confidence. Let's see what else do I have here. I think that's it. It has the KR5 motor. Has the EM100 GTR. Now the EM100 GTR is no slouch. It's $120 controller. Um, it's rated at 100 amps continuous and like 300 amps peak burst. But I'm pushing 120 or 130 amps through it, and it barely gets warm. So these Volto controllers, although they're rated for 100 amps, they can actually take a lot more. There's one of the cheaper controls that I have here, the EM50 SP. All this shit here. It's right here. Yeah, EM50 SP. I have one of these guys here. These guys, they're here it is right here. EM50 SP. They're about the same size as the EM100 GTRs. But I tore one of these guys up, and you can take a look at well, I can't show you now, but the MOSFETs inside are 120 amp rated. So although the EM50 SP is only rated for, I think, 60 amps maybe, or 65 amps, the MOSFETs can take 120 amps. And because the heatsink is big enough to be able to dissipate all that heat, I actually use these. I actually use these controllers to push 100 amps. Yeah, about 100 amps on all my builds. So I have this $65 controller, being that can handle 96 volts at 100 amps. These guys are, I mean, the performance in these guys are amazing. You can overvolt them, you can overload them, and they are robust enough. Mm, yeah, I think that's it for this ProSpec build. I was thinking about throwing the GTS 11 in here with a um, with the 80 with an 80 volt 40 amp hour 200 amp discharge battery. I don't know if I'm still gonna do that because this setup here is already uh, uh, out of control. I mean, I just came back from a ride, and I hit 65, and then I began experiencing speed wobble, and I let off. I didn't want to push it. This is 65 on a 964 gearing, so if I were to have 954, this thing would probably break 70 miles an hour. And then you throw on some street tires, I mean, you're probably getting into like 72, 73 mile per hour range. And I mean, for a dirt build, you don't need 60 miles an hour. I think around 50 miles an hour is pretty sweet. Good spot there. So I don't know if I even need to, if I want to put any more power into this, because um, it's more power than I need right now. I can set it on speed 3, and it already gets out of control. I lose traction almost immediately as I'm going up a hill. I put it on speed 3 and I just open throttle it. The rear end just begins sliding out, and so that tells me it's already more power than I need. But it's like I said, I usually ride on 2. Um, the GTS 11 is right here. So now I don't know what to do with it. I bought it for the ProSpec, but no, I'm not going to install it. There's my cabinet motors, by the way. Here's the one motor. I've never installed that. I actually have installed it and tested it, but I'm not using it right now. I don't know what I want to use that on. Originally, I was going to use it on the ProSpec, but yeah. I think the reason why I didn't want to use it on the ProSpec is because they have a 10-tooth front sprocket. I think it's a 10-tooth. Yeah, they have a 10-tooth front sprocket. I wanted the gearing to be at least 7-1, and that would have made the rear sprocket a 70 something tooth, and I wanted to minimize the mass on the bike. I wanted the bike kind of lightweight, so I decided to go with the KR5E 9-tooth front. These motors are the one of these is a stock ProSpec motor. These are but the BY 112 motors. They come stock on the dragsters, the 48-volt Mototechs, the dirt bike version, the ProSpec, e-boxes, and I think maybe even the Toros. I think they explain Toros. I think that's how you pronounce them. This is a I don't know what exactly. This takes the form factor of a TP, of a top power 128. I don't know if exactly it's the 128 or not, but this thing is supposed to be able to put out take around 25 kilowatts. I was gonna install this on a ProSpec before I got the GTS 11, but I figured, man, this thing is just too beefy. It'll fit, but it was just too beefy for a small bike like that, and I decided to save this for another day. That's the QS 165 back there. That's the QS 120 version 1. This is the B1 motor. Oh, look, I have 4 of these. These I'm actually going to install these on the Razors. I have this bracket here. I made this bracket here that'll be able to adapt the back of the motor to the Razors. So I'm going to do that. Once I do that, I'll make a video about that as well too, because I have 4 of these motors, and the problem with these is that it's hard to install these on anything else because it's front face mounted, and the Razors only have 1 bolt hole. So I need I need the rears to be able to um, get mounted as well too. And the way to do that is to drill a couple of holes right here and tap it and mount the rear as well too. So once I get that going, I'll have 4 of these motors as opposed to using those MY 1020 form factor ones. I think EMX Brandon was the first person I've seen to install one of these type of motors on the Razor. So maybe I'll be a second. These are footed MY 1020s. What else do I have here? Yeah, I think that's all I have here. So those are the motors. This is the cabinet. Got all my stuff here. All the power supplies. All the controllers over here. I just picked up a 3-shoal CL700, and then this is the 3-shoal. This is the 3-shoal CL350. These controllers here, they are 30S capable, 126 volts. The smaller one is 200 amps, and this is 400 amps. So 30S 200 amps, 30S 400 amps. I don't know what I'm going to install these on yet. I thought they were cool, so I wanted to buy them. but I haven't got a chance to install it. I think maybe I'll install it on my RSF 650, or maybe this one with the social motor, and I'll install this on my Mantis X maybe. Yeah, this guy right there, the Mantis X. Mantis X. It comes with a QS. Comes with a QS 120 50H motor. This thing can probably be pushed to around 12 to 13 kilowatts. Um, Front controller, I'm gonna swap with the Thrushul, and then I'm gonna build a custom battery for this. Right now, I've ridden this maybe a couple times. It's too slow for my liking. Right now, I'm just kind of using it as my backup bike. It's much larger. It's more comfortable. I like the seat of it. I like the stance of it, but it's just not enough power. So I'm gonna need to upgrade this before I take it out. I want at least like 8 kilowatt continuous, and this thing is only 3 or 4 kilowatt continuous. Very slow. Yeah, and then I'll do videos of some of these other bikes here. I have a newly built B1 that I'll go over. It's a 60 volt, but I mean, this thing's also pushing over 6,000 kilowatts continuous. And then this guy, when I began upgrading it, I think I'm gonna upgrade this to a 10-inch hub with a 10-inch front. A little basic programmable controller, lithium-ion battery. Yeah, donor bikes. Anyway, my garage. All right, back to the ProSpec. Yep, I think that zips it up, that buttons it up for the ProSpec. Let me know if you guys have any questions about it. I have. I think I'm pretty familiar with the overall frame and chassis of it by now. The benefits of the ProSpec. I actually love riding this thing right now, and the reason why is because the wheelbase is 43.5 inches compared to, let's say, a B1. A B1 is only like 39.5 inches. The 39.5 inches is great for wheeling, and it's great for maneuverability. The problem is, when I'm riding up steep hills, this thing wants to put me on my ass. It brings the front end up too easily. Um, but the ProSpec with the longer wheelbase, when I'm riding this on single tracks, when I'm riding this on steep hills, it just stays glued down. The front end of it is pretty difficult to pull up unless I'm sitting further in the back there. Um, I'm not a wheelie master, so I don't do wheelies often, but that's one thing I noticed about this bike. I can pretty much open throttle this when I'm sitting towards the center there, and I don't have to worry about the front end coming up. It just puts all the power down to the ground. So I ride this a lot on the single tracks, and I think this is the most comparable to the ETM RTR. The RTR I think has maybe a slightly longer wheelbase, but I'm gonna pick up one of those pretty soon. Once I sell this guy, the B1 here, I'll probably find a used ETM RTR marketplace, and yeah, maybe I can make a comparison between the two. One of the things I don't like about the RTR, I mean, although I haven't inspected it closely, they use a motor that's shorter than the MY1020 factor, and that might prevent me from being able to squeeze more power out of that thing without worrying about the motor overheating. Right now, I think it's running 8 kilowatts peak, the ETM RTR. So that tells me that's probably running about 4 kilowatts continuous, 4 or 5 kilowatts continuous, and that's not gonna be enough power for me to do what I want to do. Um, we'll see. Once I pick it up, I can do a review on it and give you a much better comparison. I know there's one comparison out there, or maybe two comparisons out there with the ETM RTR versus the ProSpec. It doesn't go into much detail about how it rides and how to upgrade things and what the differences are when it comes down to performance. I know there's a lot of hype on the ATM RTR, but so far this thing has performed for me. It's very maneuverable. It's fairly lightweight. It's It's comfortable in seating position, but it's not comfortable when it comes to cushion. I need to add a layer of neoprene on here. I need to make the brakes. I need to swap out the 1214 wheels for pit bike brakes for better braking power. Yep. Anyway, that's the lowdown on the Pro Spec and what I did to upgrade it. I think this is one of the first Pro Specs that's been upgraded without the Electric and Co kits. You don't need to use the Electric and Co kits. Not that I have anything against them. I do like their motor, but it seems like anybody who's buying a Pro Spec, they're always upgrading to Electric and Co kits, and it's kind of like the norm. And I don't like following the norm, so I'm always finding ways to be able to install these things legitimately, with the proper mount. I mean, this is not a Jimmy rig mount here. This is essentially what Electro and Co does. I think they use aluminum. This is 304 stainless steel, so this is even more robust than what they have. Yeah. Anyway, guys, if you guys have any questions, let me know, and I'll upload something else soon.